On this week's show, Liberty Flames football gets some love in the final polls of the season, and LU basketball is sweeping.
Plus, women's tennis player Tiffany Nguyen opens up about her story and how she identifies herself in Christ. You're watching Flames Central.
Liberty football finds out their final rankings in the polls and the story of Liberty basketball's Chris Parker. Welcome to Williams Stadium, everybody, for today's edition of Flames Central. I'm Rhett McGibbon alongside Emily Austin.
Rhett, I have been anxiously waiting to see where Liberty lands in the postseason polls after beating Coastal Carolina in a dramatic fashion at the Cure Bowl. Please start the show off and give us some good news.
Yeah, I have some good news, but it does come with a little bit of controversy. After the national championship game this Monday, the final standings were released in the Associated Press Top 25 poll. The Flames came in at 17th. Now get this, Emily. Coastal Carolina, who they defeated in the Cure Bowl, finished at 14th. Yeah, pardon? In the Amway USA Today coaches poll, they had the Flames finish 18th. This is the first time in program history that the Flames cracked the top 25 and also finished the season ranked. The Flames finished the year 10-1 with their only loss coming to NC State. The Flames did, however, knock off the ACC Syracuse and down Virginia Tech. It was an historic season for Hugh Freeze and the Flames. Continuing great news for Liberty football, two Flames were named to the Phil Steele 2020 postseason All-America team. Darrell Johnson earned fourth-team All-America honors, while Malik Willis was an honorable mention. During his first season with LU, Johnson led Liberty with an 11.5 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks. The JUCO transfer averaged .77 sacks per game. Willis was the top rushing quarterback in the country. He led all FBS quarterbacks with 944 rushing yards and 14 rushing touchdowns. On top of that, Willis managed 2,260 yards through the air with another 20 touchdowns.
Little early for spring cleaning? Foreshadowing? The Flames didn't give a hoot after sweeping the Owls of Kennesaw State this past weekend. All right, we start things off with game one. It was a drought for both teams to start the game, but KSU eventually got things going, jumping out to a 12-0 lead midway through the half. Spencer Rogers had a night for the Owls, scoring a game-high 31 points, and the Liberty bench was able to get the Flames back on track offensively, led by Shiloh Robinson's 8 points. Flames up 1 at the half, and they picked up right where they left off in the second. Blake Preston scored a career-high 17 points, while Chris Parker tied his season high with 13. Flames take game one 69-63. Let's head over to game two of the back-to-back. Parker came out hot for the Flames, scoring 8 points in the first 8 minutes of the game. KSU's talented freshman Chris Youngblood tried to keep the Owls in it with 16 points, but Liberty was too much in this one. 7 threes in the second half, outscoring KSU 40-14. Also inside the paint, Liberty rolls Kennesaw State in game two 76-47 to complete the sweep. Coach McKay, how'd you guys do it?
Well, their game plan was to run us off the three, so I think we just, again, we're a program that just tries to take what we're given, and I thought we did a much better job in the second half of just being a little bit more patient to find the right look.
It's real simple. You make shots, you're going to be confident. That's the main thing. So if shots are going in, I think everybody's going to be, right mentally, and, it's going to carry over to the defense. A lot of times people don't like to say it, but you make shots, you're going to play defense on the other end for sure.
That young man you just heard, Chris Parker. Some say he's the most important player on this Liberty roster. Many think he has what it takes to help Liberty win a third straight ASUN crown. But what you need to know is that his work ethic and love for the game of basketball is unequaled. Plus, he plays defense. All a recipe for success playing for a coach like Richie McKay.
Chris Parker doesn't just love the game of basketball. It's in his blood.
I was born 1998, and my dad was actually coaching for the Dallas Mavericks. He had just finished a stint with USC with George Raveling. So I basically was born right into basketball. Went to all the NBA games growing up, kind of like an NBA kid all the way up until maybe like high school. I think just the love of the game, just being around it, just was natural. Like think it was just something I probably couldn't avoid.
But just because he was born into the game didn't mean it was going to be all smooth sailing. Parker realized early that his smaller stature was a detriment in the eyes of D1 coaches.
A lot of schools, like a lot of Division I schools, look at just the build, just like the picture. And I didn't really have the picture growing up. Like I'd always been small, skinny, so it's like they just write me off by just looking at the picture.
That feeling of being overlooked would push Chris, creating a relentless work ethic.
I felt like at my size and my picture that I had to do more than everybody else. So that was kind of like one of my biggest role models was Kobe. And I used to the things they used to do, like just get up 5 in the morning. I did that all throughout high school. I don't think many people did that, but I did it all 4 years, every single day. So I think that's just kind of what pushed me every single day.
Eventually, Chris would land at Division II Henderson State in Arkansas, where he turned in a productive 3 seasons, including leading his squad to a conference title in 2020, while also earning conference tournament MVP honors. But it was a loss off the court that started him thinking about his next move.
The week before the conference tournament, my grandmother passed away. So I kind of I'm not saying it kind of changed it, but it kind of gave me a new outlook. I need to, try something. I don't want to have any regrets. I think that was the main thing, just not having any regrets. If I have the opportunity to do something, I graduated. I just wanted to have the opportunity to go and do something, try something at the next level.
So with 1 year of eligibility remaining, Chris took his shot at Division I hoops, and Liberty quickly showed interest. But it would be an endorsement from former Flames great and fellow Texan Lavelle Cabell that would help seal the deal.
He really said that it really helped him a lot, grow as a player. Because I feel like he was kind of overlooked too. He didn't have much. So I kind of felt like going in that same route and what he was able to do here. And the other thing he said, you got to play defense. And I was like, yeah. And he said, that's the main thing. But if you do that, you'll be fine there.
And since arriving in Lynchburg, Chris has been more than fine. A starter from day one, Parker has been a playmaker and a critical component to a new-look Flames roster.
Parker, mid-range jumper.
Tough. He is a key.
For Chris Parker, all the hard work has translated to success. But as his collegiate career begins to wind down, there's still one last thing he hopes to accomplish.
All I want to do is win a championship. So I think that was the main thing coming here, was to win. And I think with this program and with Coach McKay and stuff, I think it's the greatest opportunity I had for sure to win a championship. So that's my ultimate goal, is to win a championship and play in the NCAA tournament. That's always been my dream.
To hear more about Liberty basketball and all things Liberty athletics, check out our Flames Central podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, basically wherever you get your podcast. We are there. We interviewed Hugh Freeze this week, and we have a surprise guest lined up this Monday as well. So subscribe to the Flames Central podcast. You don't want to miss a minute.
Well, turning our attention to the ladies, they were originally supposed to play FGCU on the road, but unfortunately those games were canceled due to COVID. And then they found out late Wednesday night that they would be playing in Atlanta, Georgia against KSU. It was the first conference road game of the season, and it wouldn't take much time to get going. The Flames would open the game on a 15-0 run. The Owls wouldn't score their first basket until 6:35 expired off the clock. Now the Flames were led by Bridget Redstadt on the day with 16 points, and LU would keep a handle on game number 1, knocking down 12 triples, eventually taking it by a final of 76-59. KSU would be a little tougher to handle in the Sunday game. Flames would struggle to shoot in the opening half, going 10 of 30 from the floor, while the Owls would control the game at the break. Third quarter, Emily Lytle would come to life, putting up 9 points and 5 rebounds, pulling Liberty into the lead 40-37 at the end of 3. Fourth quarter, Liberty would finally get the 3-ball rolling, draining 3 triples in the final frame, and would lock it down defensively, ending the game on a 12-0 run that would hold KSU scoreless for the final 6:03. Flames sweep the weekend series and now sit 4-0 in conference play. Don't go anywhere. Warm, Hot, and Fuego is coming up.
Plus, a brave student athlete shares her struggles with an eating disorder and why God brought her to Liberty. Next on Flames Central.
At Liberty University, we don't just believe everyone should have access to higher education, we make it happen. That's why we are offering our Middle America Scholarship to help families like yours by providing over $20,000 over the course of 4 years. Money should not hold you back from the life-changing experience at Liberty University. Find out if you qualify for the Middle America Scholarship today.
With the burdens of daily life, it can be difficult to find a healthy balance. The need for Christ-centered professionals with the clinical skills to tackle our nation's mental health crisis has never been greater. Help others work through their depression, anxiety, trauma, or whatever they're facing with a K-CREP accredited counseling degree from Liberty University. Choose from 3 graduate degree options online and become the counselor they need wherever you are.
Welcome to Liberty University's online programs, where living out your calling with integrity is what you train to do, and getting ready for the future doesn't mean missing out on the now. Because a university is more than buildings and books, and an education should set you free, not fence you in. Welcome to Liberty's global campus, where distance learning was pioneered and evolved into one of the top-ranked schools in the nation, where protecting your budget, your time, and your education isn't just a theory, it's our priority. Here, degrees in your field reflect industry demands and help get you ahead of the competition. Where college comes to you, but you can come to college too. Game day, homecoming, graduation day, your school, your values, your experience, your choice. Welcome to Liberty University, where we train champions for Christ.
Hey there, friends. Welcome back to Flame Central. Liberty Athletics is all set for the Super Spring, and with that comes men's and women's tennis. Now, the ASUN recently released their preseason coaches poll, so let's take a look at where the Flames ended up. The men are projected second behind FGCU. They are assumed to defend their ASUN championship from last season. The Lady Flames are also selected to finish second in the conference, although they received 3 first-place votes.
Playing sports at a young age can help develop important qualities in one's life: teamwork, discipline, work ethic, but it can also bring distress, fatigue, and loads of pressure. For Tiffany Nguyen, her talent was in tennis, but her heart was unfulfilled. But through her struggles, her loyalty to the Lord helped bring her here to Liberty.
I grew up in Vietnam. Although I was born in the States, I was 3 months old and my parents took me back to Vietnam, and I grew up speaking the language. I have 4 brothers, and we all started out playing tennis. I would hit the ball a lot harder than any other girl, you know, and it just came natural because it was just a God-given talent, you know. My coach was like, wow, she's got talent. She's got lots of talent. And then my dad, obviously hearing that, he was, you know, very happy and really proud of me. So I was like, I want to make my dad proud. And so that's honestly how I started, not because I loved tennis, but because I loved my dad.
Tiffany Nguyen would rise to the top of her sport in Vietnam, even becoming a national champion. But her success would mask the hardship she was enduring.
It was almost like I hated the sport because it put so much pressure on me. I would do extra and more extra just to be good enough.
Tiffany's identity was rooted in her performance on the court.
Tennis wasn't so much because I loved it or because I loved being on court, but it was more, this is how my life is, and if not tennis, nothing else. You know, this is who I am. And if I'm not good at tennis, then people won't see me. Growing up, even though I loved Christ, I didn't really understand what it meant to find my identity in Christ. You know, you've heard it all your life. My mom and dad would tell me that all the time. Your identity isn't in tennis, but it's in Christ. And I was like, yeah, I know. But I never really understood it.
And the stress of having to excel in each match would eventually lead her down a dark path.
And that pressure really got me into a lot of different things too. I was bulimic for 4 years. 5 years now, actually. And that was rough, to say the least. For me, it was like maybe I can't perform on the court the way I want to every day, because any tennis player knows that. You can't have the best day ever, every day. But for me, weight and how I looked, I could probably control it in some way. I would fast, and then, being bulimic, I would eat and then throw it up and all of that. I don't know, it made me feel like I was worth something. Anyone with an eating disorder would know. It's not just a part of your life, it is your whole life. And that was probably the thing that hurt me most, because I was a Christian and I said I love the Lord with all my heart, but how could I love the Lord with all my heart and this still be such a huge thing in my life? But when I finally really did have hope was when I was shipped to America.
Nice, good, Tiff.
I was so surprised when I came here and I was in practice and nobody was screaming at me or yelling at me or saying that I should just quit tennis or something. I was so surprised. I was like, wow, this is really nice. Like, I'm allowed to be me. I'm allowed to mess up.
So very similar to the one we did on Monday, except...
As a member of the Liberty University women's tennis team, Tiffany has fit right in. But the journey to Central Virginia was one she never wanted to take.
Growing up, I've always been mission-minded. And I was like, okay, God, I've graduated high school. You can send me anywhere in the world. Uganda, Papua New Guinea, literally anywhere, just send me.
Tiffany received her answer, though not one she was expecting.
Out of all the places in the world, you want to send me to America. I had very biased opinions at the time, because I grew up in Vietnam all my life and being on that side of the world. So I spent one full year fighting God. I was like, okay, God, I'm gonna give you 1 year to change your mind. God doesn't change his mind.
Tiffany decided that she would only go to the U.S. if offered a tennis scholarship from Liberty University, an unlikely possibility, she thought, due to her tennis rating.
I was 100% sure Coach Marin wasn't gonna take me. But then one day, he called, and I was like, oh, this is where he breaks the bad news, And so he says, Tiff, we'd like to offer you a scholarship if you want to play for our school. My mom was sitting behind me and she was crying her eyes out. I was crying my eyes out, but not tears of joy. Hers were tears of joy. I was like, no, here I go. I cried the whole 12-hour plane flight. I cried so hard. I was like, it felt like I was losing everything when I was about to gain the whole world.
It's been a rapid growth for her, and I think this environment has really helped her to see that this decision to come to Liberty was a God decision. It was a God thing, It wasn't just her decision or her parents' decision. It was the Lord leading her here.
It felt like God took me away from everything I knew, and he, stripped everything away from me in order for me to see him, and that's what happened. I saw him. It was a spiritual awakening that it just happens to you, and your eyes are open, your soul's open, everything. And that's when I knew I loved the Lord for myself.
With the help from above, Tiffany continues to fight her ongoing battle with disordered eating. It's a difficult journey, but one she faces knowing it has a greater purpose.
I've always been really open about my struggles, because I believe that God gives you struggles and stories so that you can tell. And I'm tired of running after that perfect body image. I've been, getting counseling, and I'm getting help, to train my body to eat like a regular person again and see food like a regular person would, like a healthy relationship with food.
And as Tiffany takes the court each day over 9,000 miles away from home, she does so with the knowledge that God has her exactly where she needs to be.
God gave me now this story and this understanding and this new view of the whole thing. And he's turned it into something that can hopefully inspire other women to be happy with who they are, who Christ has made them to be.
Such a remarkable story produced by our very own Jonah Jabor, and we thank Tiffany for sharing her story with all of us. Well, it's chilly out here, so let's warm things up with a little Warm, Hot, and Fuego, where Rhett highlights the top 3 players or plays and moments of the week. And Rhett, we kick things off with Warm.
Yeah, Warm. Michaela Kestner on the women's basketball team. What a weekend she had versus KSU. ASUN newcomer of the week. And we've talked about it. You were on a call with me. She is so athletic. She gets the rebounds and whatnot. But finally, the offense broke through for her on the Sunday game. She had 11 points, multiple threes. It was great to see her finally kind of get her feet set. And that's one thing. She can create space with a step back, but the shots weren't dropping. In this game, she had her feet set, knocked down some triples, also had multiple steals. She's a real double-double threat. You could see her getting 10 rebounds and double-digit points per game.
Hopefully that offensive performance continues. From warm to hot, who we have?
Yeah, hot Blake Preston. And in a game against KSU where they came out slow and it was like, uh-oh, the three-pointer's not dropping. Only hit 4 in that entire game. Sometimes you need to go to your big man, and he has gotten it done for them as of late. Good to see him put up 17 points, team high that night, and they were just lobbing it into him. He had his way down low in the paint. And this is a guy that can spot up. He can shoot it too. I really like the way his game's evolving. The one thing I want to see from him now as he gets more and more confidence is to physically dominate a game, because he's a big guy. Like, you think about it, Scotty James, not as big as him. This guy, Blake Preston, he's a piece of meat down there in the paint. I want to see him bang some bodies and really dominate against an opponent.
A piece of meat, just one of the many offensive threats for Liberty. All right, we end things with Enfuego.
Yeah, Enfuego, that game we're just talking about. First night against KSU, Liberty men's basketball team, they're struggling. The spark was not there, and that's tough to do throughout an entire season. There's going to be moments where, hey, you come out flat. And Shiloh Robinson, though, had a great play. And this moment in the game, I think, really turned the weekend around for them. And that was the steal. He goes coast to coast. He lays it in, gets the contact, falls down. And you see the bench on this play. They all jump up. They're pumped up. And after that, things really get rolling. The Flames start to hit some shots. They have confidence and they have energy. So great job by Shiloh in that moment to get LU rolling.
It's been really fun to watch Shiloh develop after his freshman year last year. All right, Rhett, great job. Thanks for your time. And we wrap up the show with a very important question. Who would you want to date your sister? Stay with us.
Since 1971, Liberty University has had one mission: training champions for Christ. We've been at this for a while, and in the shadow of the Blue Ridge Mountains, we have grown to be a global force. Today, Liberty runs over 100,000 students around the globe, studying across 15 colleges and schools. And among that, proudly over 30,000 military students and their families. Across 700 programs of study, we train as one: nurses, artists, business leaders of the future and today. Together, we work to give back through service trips, local community work, and over 500,000 volunteer hours per year. And we play just as hard as we study, with 20 NCAA athletic programs and over 40 club sports teams. So, who are we? We are Liberty University, and we train champions for Christ.
Times are changing. At Liberty, we've made it our priority to grow, to learn, to improve. But even with all the change, our purpose remains. We want to equip people to go make a difference through their calling in their communities around the world. And though we are blessed with an amazing campus, our most valuable resource has always been the people, our students, and those who inspire them. It's the people who serve, maintain, support. It's you.
What's really important? Not the buildings, not the mountain, not the property, but the young people who use these buildings, who study in these facilities. They are important.
No matter what the future holds, we will stay focused on our goal. And the people of Liberty University are how we will continue to carry out our mission. They are the ones who empower us to
Training champions for Christ.
Champions for Christ.
Training champions for Christ.
What are the moments that stick with you? The ones that take your breath away? Sometimes you find them when you least expect them. You just need the opportunities to pursue. At Liberty University, you can earn a world-class degree and alongside, walk away with memories and experiences that will last a lifetime for all your passions and interests. So what is your dream? Liberty University can ignite it, and your outcome will change the world.
Behind every great leader, change maker, and essential worker is a teacher. Though teaching today may mean inspiring students from home, at Liberty University, we've been inspiring students from home for over 30 years. Earn your Bachelor of Education degree 100% online and graduate prepared for licensure and classroom ready, wherever that classroom may be. So the leaders, change makers, and essential workers of tomorrow can be inspired by you.
Hey there, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. You know, usually a brother is very protective of who his sister dates.
Yeah, I don't have a sister, but I do have some daughters, so I can relate to this.
Insert most uncomfortable question on Hot Seat. We asked the men's basketball team, which teammate would you want to date your sister?
Oh, whew. I don't want nobody to date my sister, but I would say,
see, my sister's got some high standards.
That's a horrible question to ask.
Some good men in this program.
Really no one. Maybe Colton, maybe Isaiah. That's about it.
I'd say any of the 16 other than her brother.
Colton, easy. Colton would date my sister, easy.
Obviously, that wouldn't work out very well.
Date my sister, probably Colton Reed.
I would say Colton Reed. He's a very stand-up guy.
Solid dude, really consistent.
Kyle Rode, for sure. Kyle Rode, he's a good dude.
Luke is a real good guy. I'd say probably Colton or Micaiah.
No, I'd for sure say Colton.
Colton or Kyle, they're both pretty, really good guys.
Who I want to date my sister.
They don't have that much drama and stuff.
That's a wild question.
Cohen's a real nice guy, and then I just know Drake. Drake's one of my good friends.
I'm gonna go Colton Reed just because I know Colton's super by the book, with everything, and I know she's gonna be super protected.
I mean, I appreciate it from everyone, but I guess, I don't really have too much to say about that.
And Colton Reed wins the Nice Guy Award for Liberty Basketball. All right, we are out of time for this edition of Flame Central. Make sure you download the Flame Central podcast. You will not be disappointed.
Oh, it is a great listen. And also make sure you go to libertyflames.com, click the Flame Central link in the top right-hand corner. Well, for Emily Austin, I'm Rhett McGibbon. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you right back here next week.